Today, we're going to be going over the Cattlemen's T1 and 25 caliber, a little bit more, talking about some of the great features and also about some of the problems and the fixes. So, this gun's amazingly accurate with the right scenarios. Now, the biggest problem I found with it was the clip causing all kinds of problems with the ammo. And if you really look at things closely, a lot of people, they put the ammo in, they shoot, they don't look back, and it's hard to see what happens after the fact unless you're doing ballistics testing. And I try to study things both before and afterwards as much as possible. And so what I noted is pushing the pellets through a few times, because I'm doing some of my own pellets just to see how they cycle through the clip. I noticed that there was some marring going on. And I thought, well, wow, what the heck is going on here? And upon closer inspection, I realized really it wasn't necessarily the machining was a problem. The clip's not defective. What it is that every user, because of the conditions, will load the clip defectively, if that makes any sense, for the most part. Not unless you could be perfect every single time, which most of us can't. And I'll get into and show you exactly why and what's going on there. But this clip really changes whether this gun is decent at even 25 yards versus it being able to stretch out to, well, probably well over 100 easily. And so, you know, that's going to be the difference. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start getting into it with you guys and showing you what's going on, and a little tutorial on exactly how to fix the problem. And so I'm going to swing you on over here, and we're going to go ahead and check things out on the TV screen, and I'll just walk you right on through it as we get a quick little view on everything. And I'll just zoom you guys on in to the screen so we can get the best possible. Okay. And well, we gotta go back a bit and bring you over. All right, there we go. That looks like a pretty good view. Okay, so here we have the Cattlemen's clip right here. Okay, and I have a loop here so we can inspect things on a real close level, and I have the tools to do the repair here. Okay, and so if we look at inside here, right inside of here, right in here is the little bar that stops the clip, your clip, as you wind it from following through. Okay, now if you see that little bar in there, you can see it. Let's see if I can turn it at a little angle. You can see if I'm not completely perfectly lined up and almost over to this side a little bit, what's going to happen is I'll go ahead and load the first one, and the first one, which will be your last shot, will always be great. It'll be whatever it is, as long as you don't mar it with your fingernail trying to push it in there in the hole. But the next one, let's say I think that that's lined up properly. Now, just to show you guys, all right, I hope you can see this. This is just fine here. Okay. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and inspect it with this real quick. Give you guys the maximum view of it. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to put this right up to the lens so that we can inspect it. Here we go. With some degree of precision. And we can see that this whole thing is looking great. Okay. Skirt looks good. All that stuff. All right. So now we're going to go back down, and we're just going to go ahead and feed this one into the next position on the clip. Okay. I'm struggling a little bit. Oh, there we go. I got it in. Okay. So let's go to the next. Well, no, let's just check that one out. Let's check that one out before we go even any further. Okay. Now, this will happen time after time from the first one, after the first one that you load on. So it cycles great. Look, it moves to the next one, no problem. But let's pull it out before we go any further. Okay. So here we go. All right. And I don't know if you can see that right now, but maybe you can see that right now. I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's go ahead and put it under the microscope, and then you can see what's really going on here. All right, you see that? Boom! We just took a huge chunk out of that pellet. right where it's going to affect the ballistics of this thing big time. Like, seriously, big time. All right? So, let's go to the fix on this, and I'll show you what I got going on. Okay? So we'll push this guy through. This one's not going to be affected, of course. Now, we're going to just take this off, like so. All right? Now this is coming off. Put that there. This over here so it doesn't roll off. And we're going to take this off carefully, and this is going to spring on past. And what you're going to note is that there's a little round spot here. That's where you're going to click over. Well, we won't get to that quite yet. We're going to the fix first. Okay, so this has got a spring. This has got a little tiny hole that you have to load it into right there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, all right, but this right here, this little spot right here, this is the fender, right? This is what's causing all the problems, that little guy right there. And as you can see, it's at a right angle, okay? And so what's happening is these pellets are hitting right on this edge as they're trying to push past, and it's destroying them. It's destroying the pellet before it ever gets into the rifle, okay? And so if we take, don't lose the spring, that would be important. I'll set this off to the side so we can start on the work, what needs to be done. So right here, if you take and you see this little thing here can be taken filed, and so I'll take a file and I'll take and start angling it. Okay, this is a really fine-tooth file. All right, and I'm just going to start angling this at an angle. It takes a minute because it's really fine-tooth, like I said. Okay, and so what you're going to see here is you're going to see that that's going to start to bevel it. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bevel on it now. Okay, now that's going to help a lot. Just that little bevel is going to keep you from chunking into your pellets all the time. But I like to break both these edges. Right here. And right here. All right. And now that's looking, that feels much better. Okay, now I haven't made it sharp, I just broke the edges off slightly. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to sand this with some real fine sandpaper here. And I'm just going to sand it back and forth. And why am I doing that? Well, because I want it to eventually get almost to a polish, okay, on that corner that I'm doing there. All right, and so we're just going to take and make sure that whatever sharp corner is there, we're going to take it and we're going to break that corner. Okay, and this is a series of different mic paper. Mic is this is 30 mic here, and I'll go all the way to 1 mic, which is like 14,000 grit or something like that, and try to polish this as best as possible, because this is what your pellet's going to be sliding over again and again and again and again. Okay, and so like I said, you're going to want to round as much as you can on the initial entry of it so that this thing doesn't mar your bullet. Okay. All right, so I think I've sanded it pretty good with the 30 mic, and then we're just going to go through each of the levels. Now I've labeled them, like this is number 1, here's number 2, so we're just going to go through each one. And this is actually 15 mic here, and so I'm going to do each one a little bit at a time. And it takes a little while. It takes some time to do it. Just sanding it with different sandpaper. Okay. You can see it'll wear a little end in there. Not a big deal if you get a little too crazy with it. I'm going to go to number, this is 4, so we need number 3. All right. I'll do it through each one. Breaking the edges on top, folding it over and rounding it as much as possible on all the corners, because that's what's going to mark your pellet. And hopefully this will just leave a shiny spot on it instead. Okay, and it'll slide past There's number 4. It'll slide past because of the smooth resistance. Now this isn't hopefully too much harder than a hard composite. It'll be easy to put a nice polish on it. And finally, number 6. This is your final little polish. There we go. Now we have the final pieces together. Now we're going to go ahead and just put it back together. Now we're going to take and feed this through the right spot. Now if you notice, there's a spring here. One side's a little more hooked than the other. Now you want this side here to be hooked into this guy. So we actually get it right. Yeah, we got it right here. Okay. So this guy will hook right in here. There we go. Grabbed it. This guy, get it put together and feed it onto there and get it just right to go into that hole. We'll keep any tension on that. That's the tricky part. There we go. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to notice that there's tension feeding it, but it doesn't want to lock. Okay. So you're going to take and you're going to bring it all the way to this. There's a point where you can feel it, to where there's like some tension, and you're going to pop right over that node, and then it's going to lock into place. And this little button's going to be right on the side here. It's like so. Okay. And you're just going to take the reverse step. You're going to take and put your piece right back on here. And this guy, you screw right back in. Get it right here. Okay. Now, if you over tighten this thing, it won't work. So you feel it where it snugs down, okay, and there's no play in it. There's no play at all. Now I can feel there's just a little bit of play left in there, so I'm just going to give it a touch more of a tighten. And if you feel this drag at all, it's too tight. But right there, we're all locked in, and now it shouldn't mar the pellets. Let's try another pellet now. See, this one's the one that was marred. Let's try our first load. All right, that went in nicely. Now let's try the next one and see, even if I put it over there, it just pushes it right over real nice like, okay? And that's what we want. We want it to be pushed over just real nice and easy, even if you're just off a little bit. You see that? It just helps right along now. And so let's take a look at these guys and see if they're marred up as bad, okay? And there's virtually no marring, and we can verify that under the magnifying glass here, okay? There we go. That's the fix for the Cattlemen's clip. It's really just that easy, all right? So I hope that's helpful to you guys. I hope that you find that useful. We'll see you on the next episode of The Blind. I hope this helps, and I hope that Cattlemen's is watching. I'm sure that they'll rectify this as quick as possible and make it good for all the guns. Now, if you didn't have reading glasses or something like that, I could see how it would be really easy to miss something like that. And so, you know, it's just that little post needs a little bit of a bevel and rounding on it, and these clips will be better than ever. So it's just a little bit of, Cattlemen's could fix them going out the door right now. If they put somebody on it with a file and some sandpaper, there'd be no problems and nothing flat. So I think that this will be an easy fix for them. And for everybody who has guns already, I hope this is an easy fix for you guys. So I'll see you guys on the next one in The Blind.